Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC. All right, and we are fresh off another fino alla fine moment. This one going to Gattone, but Rabiot, the talk of the town, his man of the match performance also carried on into the post-match with his social media post. So we're going to cover it all, but this was an insane finish to what was an absolutely dire second half, and I guess you could say the whole game really. But at the end of the day, it all reads the same. Juve top of the table right now, and we got a big one coming up at the Maradona today. Look at it, full house. Luca, Omer, Joey Cappuccino, fellas, how are you all doing? Ready to rock?
I was here yesterday, so I'm good.
You are ready to rock. Look at the shirt, Hard Rock. You're ready to rock. Let's go.
Same position I left the show yesterday. Yeah.
There you go. Luca's rocking the nice classic old school original Lealtà tee. I like that. He's ready to go. Joey with looks like he's pouring a cup of tea with his Adidas Originals.
The coffee tastes a little bit better.
Oh, okay, nice. Pull out the
nice
espresso cup. All right. There you go. Nice.
Thought you were British there for a second.
Well, we got a lot to talk about here. Obviously, good character win coming in from Dom yesterday. Rabiot had a monster game, absolutely. How fitting that was, because Omer, who was with me on the pregame show yesterday, we spent a bit of time talking about Rabiot needing to be the Rabiot he was last season, and look at that. You asked for it, you get it.
I'm sure he listens to the podcast. No way he heard what
all of them.
Didn't hear what said. All of them.
Monza does, apparently.
We know this for a fact.
Monza does.
Let's have some fun today, okay? So, starting lineup, Szczesny, Gatti, Bremer, Sandro. Sandro was the talk, okay, about this starting lineup, and we're going to get to that later, but I will just kind of say this, that he wasn't an issue yesterday, okay, overall, but we'll still talk about that after when we get to it. Cambiaso, McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic, Vlahovic, and Chiesa. I said leading up to this one, for me, I would have liked a little bit of variance in the midfield. I didn't think we had to be so robust against Monza, especially if they were going to shut down the flanks, which is what they essentially tried to do. We had to play through the middle, but overall, should have been enough to get through Monza. Luca, we had Omer on yesterday. What were your thoughts on the starting lineup? And then we'll get Joe's thoughts on starting lineup.
I was adamant that we should have had a little bit more changes, a little bit more rotation. I mean, aside Sandro, I would have loved to see more younger. I'm happy, obviously, Nicolucci got to play, but I think Kostic could have maybe used the rest. I think maybe McKennie could have used the rest too. I don't think Locatelli should have seen the field at all. There's no reason to really force him. But I mean, listen, it got the job done. So, looking back, no complaints.
Yeah, there you go. Joey Cap, your thoughts on that lineup?
I mean, it was the same as everyone else's. When I saw Sandro in the lineup, I was like, we're approaching 2024, and this guy is still in the lineup. But other than that, I was happy to see, like Luca said, I was happy to see Hans in the lineup. I think I would have liked to have seen Miretti. I don't know if he's still struggling for fitness or what have you, but that's a personal pick. Kostic definitely could have used a rest, but other than that, no real complaints there. No surprises aside from Hans and Sandro, really.
Absolutely. Now let's get to the action, okay? And it's not going to take a long time to cover the action in this one, okay? A little spoiler there. 8 minutes in, Kostic with a long ball forward to Cambiaso, and man, he hauls down my nemesis, okay? Because in a watch along, trying to say Kyriakopoulos a bunch of times was a nightmare, okay? Kyriakopoulos, whatever. Nightmare, but he gets called for the PK on hauling Cambiaso down. There were a few in the watch along thinking no pen because he probably wasn't going to have a play on that, but I'm like, guys, that's a pretty easy call. You usually got to take someone out to dinner before you're going to maul them like that, but here we go. All right, PK for Juve. Now, we do have still a description. Overall, let's just get your thoughts on the officiating, because I felt for a while now, and not just Juve games, but the reffing is just so inconsistent in Serie A and just a low level, in my personal opinion. What were your personal thoughts on the official in yesterday's game? Did you see some inconsistencies or anything, or did you think it was okay?
I didn't think it was bad. Like, you can't blame the game result. Either team can blame the game result on the referee.
Yeah.
I think that by the rules, the foul on Cambiaso might have been a red card.
We're going to get to that because L'Arbitro Nick gave us a beautiful write-up on that.
Okay, I agree. It shouldn't have been a red card very early in the game. It's not, an aggressive foul. It is a foul. It is a penalty, but a red card would have ruined the game at that point. But that was the only, instance that we should talk about. The rest was pretty similar. I mean, some inconsistencies with foul calls and stuff, but nothing serious.
Yeah. Guys, Luca, Joe, any inconsistencies, anything? He pretty much stayed out of it, didn't he?
Yeah,
nothing horrible.
For the most part.
Yeah. Now, going to Omer's point with this call and potentially red. So, L'Arbitro Nick, first of all, his thoughts on Fabri is he's one of those referees who never has a great performance, okay? But he also doesn't cause issues. He doesn't cause issues most of the time. He just does enough to stay out of controversy, and but overall his performances are definitely not standout. So I've had an issue with consistency among Serie A refs, and L'Arbitro Nick says, I agree with Alberto. All our referees are shaky in Italy, and probably only Orsato and Massa are the two world-class ones. In terms of the penalty kick, he says, in this play, obviously, Cambiaso and Kyriakopoulos battling for the ball, okay, that is coming from a distance in the air. Both players are going side to side until Cambiaso turns, clearly gains position over the defender. So I'm just going to say the Greek guy holding his arm and Cambiaso and places another hand on his back. The two key considerations: which player has the advantageous position? That's Cambiaso, right? Second is the Greek guy holding Cambiaso back, not giving him an opportunity to play the ball. Then you got, we may have differing opinions on whether or not this is a yes or no, basically. But there's certainly enough to support a foul call, especially when it's clear Cambiaso has position over the defender. This call is supportable, and Cambiaso definitely knew what he was doing in that moment, all right? As for the Greek guy being the last defender here, therefore we need to start thinking about, is this denial of a goal-scoring opportunity? 4 considerations are: 1, number of defenders that can intervene. There was nobody. 2, distance to the goal. It's in the penalty area. 3, direction of play, right in front of goal. 4, chance of attacker playing the ball. This last point is where you downgrade this play from denial of a goal-scoring opportunity to stopping a promising attack. The ball was far enough away from Cambiaso that his chance of making a play on it was slim. Now, as far as it thinking penalty kick for a red downgrades it to a yellow card, that only applies if a defender makes a genuine attempt to play the ball. Holding on to attacker with your hands is not considered an attempt to play the ball. Therefore, if it was red card, still would have been a red card. Okay, so he was very close, but obviously didn't hit the criteria to L'Arbitro Nick. So it all stands. It's all good. I'll take it. 8 minutes in. Vlahovic, let's go. Bury this. Oh no. Oh no. Di Gregorio making the stop. The rebound hammers back out to him quickly. And it's a little bit high. He's got to try and direct that over. Can't do it enough. And also stopped on the follow through. This thing goes out for a corner kick. Dusan. All right. So we got to talk PKs, okay? Because everyone's saying he's, and even like here comes Skanga here. Dusan is off the PK shooter list. And then you have a bunch of fans that say you have to keep going, otherwise you'll never get the the confidence back and going. Overall, Dusan Vlahovic is 21 out of 25, I believe. I may be mistaken there, but he has missed, 3 of his last 5, all right? So 3 of them coming within the last 5 PKs. Guys, off PKs, keep them going. What do you think?
No, I don't think it's such a dire situation that we have to change someone. It's not like a Jorginho who literally cost you a World Cup.
And hasn't changed the run-up, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
fine. He missed penalties. I wouldn't, cancel him and give it to someone else.
Yeah.
But I get why people think you should. I wouldn't rule it out completely.
I'll tell you what, Dusan, the next one you step up for, just go straight down the middle, man. Straight down the pipe. When you're in a funk, just hammer it straight down the pipe. Chances are keeper's going to dive out. But listen, this is how I feel. You should, that in training, whatever, these guys have their shooters and they're practicing and everything like that. Switch it up. I would rotate. So if you're going in 3 for 5, I actually think if you get a rotation in next man up, he steps up and it's his until he misses, okay? Mm-hmm. And you keep it going, and I think that helps relieve that pressure. So it's not like, this guy went up now, he's got a bunch, he missed his, now I can go up. And that's what, honestly, a ton of the teams I play for, that's what we do. We have a rotation, a minimum of 3 that are the main guys, and you just rotate it. When you miss, next man up. And you don't think twice about it. And then you wait till your rotation comes back and you just keep rolling with it. I don't think we have to force anything. And Vlahovic, PKs, you're going to miss PKs. Every player on the planet's going to miss PKs. Some of the best players in the world have missed PKs. I don't think it's a big thing, but I wouldn't mind a rotation. That's just how I feel. Luca, agree with me or just keep going to the well with him?
If his confidence wasn't so absolutely fragile, I'd say, just put the next guy in and rotate it. But the guy he's like hot and cold every second week. We don't know what's going to happen with him. We don't know when he's going to go through a funk and when he's going to be in the groove. So I say keep him just because we need him to score those goals. And you know what? I think it would just kill him if we took him off of it. But that's my thought. I mean, it sucks that he's sensitive like that.
You know what? And that's another thing. If it's going to kill him to take him off it, my God, man, you got to...
That's an issue. That's an issue.
Like that's a whole nother talking point there. Like it can't. Exactly. It just can't. I mean, if he's not in the lineup, somebody else is stepping up to take it. So just rotate it. It's three misses out of 5. Rotate it for me. I don't know.
Who you guys putting? Who are you putting as the second?
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
It's a PK and you're at that level,
football.
man.
It's a question, Omar. Answer it. Don't.
Maybe Chiesa, man.
I don't care. I don't have an answer.
PK?
I would give it to
Rabiot.
someone, who's calm in his personality.
Danilo.
I think those guys have the highest percentages. It could be Danilo. I would even give it to Bremer.
Okay, I'm gonna draw the line.
I don't mind anyone's taking this.
We don't see these guys. You gotta see these guys take them in the training sessions to know who the top guys. Like how many guys knew? Like a lot of fans didn't realize how strong on PK's Bonucci was when he was with us and whatnot. But in training, he was, and they knew he was one of the guys if it came to that could step up and take them and do it well. We don't know because we haven't seen these guys really take them, right? But hey. I do say switch it up for the next one. And let's get it back in a little bit of a rotation. Gattoni, I tell you what, man. This guy's got grown men turning into cats, so he could do whatever the hell he wants, all right? Let's go. Now, let's keep it rolling, okay? Dusan misses it. We get the corner kick coming in here. Caviglia with a beautiful delivery on this one, and the crazy horse almost puts this one through the friggin' net with his header. Di Gregorio, no chance on this one. 1-0 up Juve. Let's go, baby. Rabiot was on one yesterday, to say the least, okay? So definitely listening to the pre-match show there. 32nd minute, okay? Corner flicked in by Alexandro falls to Gattoni, man, in front of the net. He stops it and he just pokes this one up top. Looked like Skanga trying to finish from 4 yards out. Not happening, unfortunately. That was one we should have really been burying there. Like, I get it, off balance, all this, but you gotta find a way to put that home, man. For me, I'm like, it's gotta go in the back of the net. You guys giving him a little leeway there? Or are you with me? That's gotta go in.
It's my boy. I'm defending him. I don't care.
Come on.
I mean,
It's got to go in the back of the net, boys. I love Gatti. Nobody loves Gatti more than
Yeah.
me. Come on.
We need
if
to.
it was
we
a
need to-
precursor to what
He's
happened
shot-
later, then that's totally
Yeah. Well,
fine,
I mean, does Dusan put that in? That's the question.
Probably
He's on his
'cause
strong
he's
left foot,
left-footed.
probably. If he had to settle
Probably,
it
yeah.
that way, on his strong foot, yeah, that's in the
I
back.
would bet against it.
That's in
I
the
wouldn't
back.
say it's an easy shot. I mean, yeah, he was falling, and that's the outside of the boot, but still, you gotta put that in. I mean, that's as easier chance as you're gonna get.
Yeah, it's got to go. Nonetheless, we don't get
Yeah.
that one. 2 minutes later, little bit of a scramble off a ball that found Vlahovic. He did well to trap it, contain it, and then tried to feed it into the middle. It gets cleared out, falls to Rabiot, who unleashes this thing. Okay, but right along the carpet, though, and too close to Di Gregorio. He does block it. That's it for the first half, essentially. So that ends there. Second half, I think we all knew what was coming. Okay, I don't think there's any surprises here. 1-0, and yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Pessina had a good opportunity in the 74th minute, just putting a left-footed shot, curling it around the goal there. You know, they were so toothless, even though we were dropping so far back. I will say, on the everybody that was with me on the watch line, I almost literally nodded off because that second half was so bad. Okay, so bad. And we will talk about differences between Inter and this game and whatnot, but it was brutal. That was an opportunity. And then 92nd minute, Carboni with this cross. It does curl inside of Gatti. Mota makes the run. That freezes Szczesny. And it goes in the back of the net. And I'm thinking, my God, here you go. Here you go. Here's the slap in the face. We got to talk about this goal because there was a lot of fans hard on Gatti on this one. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this one. And I'm going to start with Omer here on the goal. Your thoughts on this one. Are you hard on Gatti like some?
No, not that much. I mean, it's a confusing ball for both of them, and maybe a bit more communication. But we've seen this type of crosses shots go inside the net more often than not. It's not something rare or a huge mistake that we should condemn him. I wasn't even angry with Rugani last week when everyone was, oh, he was the one that he was the reason for Inter's goal, and I'm not blaming Gatti here nor Tech. Just the situation sucks. It happens, but immediately I was like, yeah, we deserve that. We just playing with fire, letting them control, not attacking, not pushing. When you let them roll around your area for 40 minutes, eventually you're going to concede one way or the other.
Now, Joey, hard on Gatti?
I mean, Omer took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, that's just what happens when you kind of invite that kind of pressure into your area for 40 minutes. No, I mean, I don't necessarily blame Gatti. I remember seeing stuff on the TL about blaming him on Twitter, but it's just I think Ant said it. It was just a calamity of errors. A little bit of miscommunication. It happens. What are you going to do?
Look,
Yeah.
I will. If I have to blame someone, it probably should be Tech, not because he was awful, but he sees everyone. He should be the one yelling to Gatti, leave it and go for it, and not leave it to chance and hoping Gatti will take it.
Yeah, I don't know. Luca, your thoughts on this one?
I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. I think it's the 40 minutes of pressure. I think it's Keane, who's a striker, not pressuring the ball, even though he doesn't have to. But in this formation, this way we're playing, he has to. You can't let that come in. I think it's Gatti not being certain of himself. and doubting himself at the last minute. But after 40 minutes of pressure, I mean, listen, after so many years of having the likes of one of the best center backs in the world, it's tough to go to these guys and expect them to do exactly the same. We're hard on our defenders. We always are. And you know what? All it takes is one moment of lapse in a 45-minute pressure zone, and that's it. And you're going to shit on them all game. You're not going to remember, the sitter that Vlahovic missed in the first half. No, you're going to remember this because this is what really cost us, and this is what people remember. So I think it's a culmination. I'm not going to blame Gatti. I think, yes, he's at fault, but I'm not putting it all on him.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel this way. So,
blaming defenders thing is gotten a little out of hand because we idolize those huge defenders, those Baresi's, Cannavaro's, Maldini, but Chiellini was probably my second favorite player ever, and he had tons of mistakes when he was 23, 24.
Exactly.
There's no defender who doesn't have, so we don't need, to go in hard on every young defender who makes some mistakes. And I hope he'll learn from it, and Allegri will point him in the right direction. But it wasn't that bad of a mistake like the one against Sassuolo, which was much more
Agreed.
Right.
I feel like this. So I see the shouts for Gatti. I see the shouts for Moise Kean. And to be honest, no, I don't feel that way at all. So I'm not going to go hard on a offensive player to do defensive work that deep in our territory. So I kind of give him a pass. But I mean, sure, we would like a little bit more there. Here's my blame. My blame is you have 3 players at that moment in the area, okay? 3 Monza players in Juve's area. We play with 3 center backs. We had 2 wing backs that were also dropping back. You have more than enough coverage there. Our midfielders were in the area as well, while Monza only had 3 players there. So if a player like Carboni cuts in on Keane, why the hell does he have that space to put in a ball like that? Because our midfield is in the area when they only have 3 players there. You can clamp down and you can shut down defensively, but it doesn't mean that you have to relieve all pressure that's on the other team and on the ball. You're still making it way too easy for them to throw things into the mixer like that, and you're asking for trouble. As far as his delivery, the ball was ridiculous, okay? So Gatti wasn't in a bad position at all. He had Mota right next to him. He's still trying to watch the ball in case he can make a play on it. It ended up being a hell of a curl, hell of a delivery, hell of a ball that split himself and Szczesny, and Mota was there to freeze frame Tech. It's a perfect storm. But for me, there is no need, even if you want to clamp down and drop back, to just relieve yourself of pressuring the other team. So for me, it's just unacceptable. Like, I get closing out a game, but my God, man, you just gave them no respect. That's called giving your opposition no respect. And we got stung for it, okay? Stung for it. Now, 2 minutes left. Jesus Christ, could we have done this earlier in the game and just killed it off? Because Rabiot picks up the ball, plays a 1-2 give and go with McKennie. He's down on the byline, beats his man, feeds Gatti, who fucks up the first one, and luckily it just sat there as if the football god said, Gattoli, here you go, redeem yourself, my son, and bam, then he hammers it. He doesn't even take a chance. Absolutely laces the thing from like 5 yards out, okay? Hey, to Gagliardini, you fucking tool, okay? And we get a Fino alla fine moment, but it doesn't come without a scare because Carboni unleashes a freaking hit from like 30 plus yards out that actually scared me.
That's really nice.
So while I go from literally nodding off in the second half, the ending almost like it just, again, I talked about, oh yeah, I'm just used to this clamp down style now. I can make it through like the ticker, the blood pressure, it's all fine. And then at the end, it's just like, boom. Okay. Scary, scary moment there, but we get through. It's 2-1, okay? The game's done. Top of the table. Look, a win's a win, okay? You got to take them any way you can get them. I still say there's a lot of positives around our team, but we definitely have work to do. And I think we can all agree on that. And we are going to tackle kind of what we saw in overview and everything. But I'm telling you, for me, with this play and everything, and the reason I say it's a disrespect to your opponents because they were toothless for a large amount of game. But if you look at the difference, because yes, second half against Inter was dire as well, very very drab. But the difference was that fight for possession and that space allowed. Like we were still tight to Inter, even when trying to close it down through the second half, not giving them space, not giving them lanes, and still you have to have that fight for the ball. That's the biggest thing I notice from that game to this one. So for me, we got too comfortable. And I think it might have been, well, you always say this because it's been happening for a while, even through last season, but you hope it's a blessing in disguise that like, hey, snap out of it, respect everyone. And Max is the king of respecting all his opponents and pressers, but you got to do it with your team on the pitch too. And I think we dropped too far back. Your guys' thoughts on that, and do you agree with that difference between the Inter game and this one? And just general thoughts about the game. Joe.
Omar.
Okay, me first. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Al, it was definitely a second half to fall asleep to. Nothing really eventful until the last few minutes. But going from Inter to this team, I honestly I was expecting a lot more out of the team. I was expecting more goals. Just because I mean, yeah, Monza had our number last year. Monza had our number last year. That's a given. But it's a new season, new team for the most part, and new mentality. I was expecting new things. But all of my expectations aside, the thing that I think was the big thing for me was that this team showed a little bit more heart in the second half. They didn't give it up. They didn't give it up. And you look at the game last year against Monza where we are just absolutely defeated on all fronts mentally. That's the thing that I was looking at the most. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. Omer?
Yeah, another hurdle we jumped through. We actually managed to make it. I don't think we win that game last season with the mentality we had and everything, but there is something different in this Juve. I feel like the never say die attitude is back a bit. You can see it on the way the players act on the pitch, even when stuff don't work out. It's just frustrating that when we want, we can attack. We could have attacked Monster. We could have gone for that second goal. We only chose to do that, and we didn't pay for it this match. Great, I take the 3 points and we leave, but that's something that has to improve. If you can attack and you can push them back, because again, the goal we conceded was mainly our fault. We just allowed them to have that type of opportunity.
Yeah.
And it happened against Villarreal. It happened in some other places, and we paid for it. So I hope they learn from it, but I'm skeptical. But either way, I mean, we're Juventinos. A goal in the 90th plus minute to win the game, that's sick. And that's what we love. That's what we live for. And that makes it all the more sweet. The win. And notes on Gatti, that's his fourth goal, I believe. And his goals are important. He had one against Sporting, against Sevilla, I think one against Torino,
Yeah.
and now a winning goal. That's the third game in a row he avoids the yellow card that will keep him out of matches. So he is going to be there against Napoli,
Yep.
which is surprising. I would have thought he would have missed Inter. But overall, the entire boring match was worth it for those final 5 minutes because I was
Yeah.
over the moon.
Yeah. Luca.
I mean, the guys hit it on the nail here. I think just gonna build off what Omar said. The team is different from last year, and I applaud them for that. But I still worry in the sense that it took us 30 seconds after the goal to equalize, and it took maybe four passes. I think this is. I'm not sure if this goes on the coach, on the staff, or on the players. But if we're that capable of doing it, why don't we continue to do it? Why don't we just sit back after 2 goals and not after one? I'm not against and opposed the idea of defending a lead. Like that's what Max likes to do. Fine, but why do we stop? Like, why is it okay? We missed a boatload of chances in the first, but then attack it again. We went into that second half not looking for a goal. I didn't see any chance, and it's extremely frustrating because Max's first subs, and they're always very repetitive, are his 2 strikers. He takes them out, puts on 2 other fresh strikers. Yet we defend with 2 fresh strikers. We're not attacking. And the characteristics that we're trying to use with these 2 strikers, which is basically just a counter, don't work with these 2 strikers. I don't see the mentality of the team with the decisions that are being made by Max. Some things are just not aligning, and I'm questioning whether just the tiniest changes are needed to really bring us to the next level. Mentality wise, infinitely better than last year, and I applaud them for that.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I mean, I think he's still expecting this team to be the Juve of old, and I think he's slowly adjusting, but it's too slow. He'll only realize what he has in 2 years from now, which
Yeah.
it's a couple years short.
For me, it's just there's a few things. So the substitutions that were made, like Danilo coming in to play in the midfield ahead of the defense, you then brought in Locatelli, you moved McKennie out for Cambiaso there and whatnot. When they equalized, I'm gonna be quite honest, I didn't have faith that I thought that's it. It's gonna end there. There's only a couple minutes left. But even beyond, if let's say there was the full 5 minutes left, I wouldn't have, that much faith in that kind of lineup and everything, and just because of how we played. It's very difficult. You've literally sat back an entire half, right? So to just switch it on all of a sudden like we did, well, that's highly, highly unlikely. But the moral of the story stands that 1 goal is fuck all in football. You can clamp down and everything, and even when you want to do so, the pressure needs to be there. You still have to fight for the ball. But I still don't think you should resort to that. This team is far too comfortable on 1 goal for my liking. Okay? Very comfortable. So comfortable to the point we were all in the area. That's way too comfortable for my liking. Okay? Now, I got to say, on that goal that we scored, in terms of saying, well, why didn't we do this earlier? Well, one of the things was they shut down the flanks brilliantly. Even in the first half, where I think we were the better of the side and had a good first half, we shut down completely second half. But the double team never comes over to Rabiot. So he plays the give and go with McKennie there on the flank, and then he cuts in. He's 1v1 with that player. And that didn't happen in the first half, at all. Monza, I think they just fell apart because they equalized. And I think they had a moment where they got caught, where they were falling asleep after that big equalizer and that rush of adrenaline, because they didn't come over with a double team. Rabiot beats his man brilliantly, and he tight ropes that end line. And then from there, it's all hands on deck. And Gatti finds room, and he's literally alone. I think it was Calderola that dives down to try and block the shot in front of him. But there was space there to be had. But I think, combination of what happened with them, where their heads were at, and then a lapse defensively that they didn't really allow even in that first half. Nonetheless, I'll take it all day, every day, twice on Sunday, okay? Love it.
It's great that Gatti was there, because both Keane and Milik were out of position, and I don't get that. That always happens. I mean, it's the last chance of the game. You're 2 strikers. How is none of you in the middle of the area?
Well, Keane was trailing. So when Gatti mishits that and it sits there and pops up, Keane's right there, and he's probably getting to it. But he's taking a trailing run. I don't know where the hell Milik was going. Okay, I can't explain that one. But it nonetheless, it worked out. But I think we got a little bit lucky with some laps defensive given the moment and what happened. I feel like Monza thought that was it, and they equalized. Thankfully, Gatti and Juve get it done, because I found the only Monza fan alive probably that was coming at us on Twitter yesterday, okay? So my God,
Kudos to that
if his
guy.
prediction of 1-1 would have come true, can you imagine? I wouldn't be able to show my face on Twitter for probably at least 2 weeks if I had to take an L to a Monza fan, all right? So wonderful stuff there, but yeah, I think a little too comfortable with just the one goal for my liking, but in terms
See, he's talking
offensively and
about
everything like
he's
that,
talking about Monza predictions. He doesn't talk about our predictions. Only when he's right. When he gets the predictions right, then we have a 10-minute segment about it. But when I'm right with the prediction, you never even mention it.
yeah, you're right. You're bang on. You're bang on. Skanga came in on the
I was-
watch along to talk about his halftime lead prediction, for God's sake. So I don't want to hear about any of your predictions, all right? I get enough of this. Now,
I got almost 100% right. If Dushan puts that PK in, then I'm 100% right. I said one from defense, Dushan, and a 2-1 win.
all right,
fucking
back
right.
patting moment now. It's over. Let's go. Keep it rolling. Man of the match. Everybody, drop it in here. Let's go. For me, it's clear cut. I mean, it's got to be Adrian Rabiot, man.
Fuck.
It's got to be.
It has to be, dude.
Has
it has to be. Cover your ears, Lou. Cover your ears if you're
Yeah,
listening.
like
No.
easily. Rabiot.
Actually, you know what, Lou? Don't cover your ears. I want you to hear this. Rabiot had a good game yesterday. He was all over the pitch. So drop your agenda now. All right, pal?
No, he suspended his agenda for 24 hours.
He did, yeah. And he tweeted it. Not even
Listen,
tweeted it.
You know, Rabiot for me, man, like it's easy in this one. This is exactly what we were talking about literally in the pregame show that Lou and I had a chat in the group chat, and we were just talking about Rabiot and like, man, he needs to be the Rabiot of last season for this team to really thrive and succeed, because in the middle of the park is where we're not getting the help we need for the forwards, for the flanks, everywhere. And that's what we need consistently from Rabiot. And the reason is because of the fact that he is a lock and a staple in the lineup. So he just has to bring that game every single time. And if it takes an ex-Inter piece of crap to fire him up to get that going for the rest of the year, then do it. But I love his reaction to Gagliardini. That is absolutely beautiful. Gagliardini's an absolute tool, okay? You could take the player away from Inter, but you can't take the disgusting scumbag out of them, all right? That will always remain. Now, speaking of lineups, is Max going to get back into this comfort zone, do you think, with McKennie seeing the majority in the midfield? Are we going to get ready for Locatelli, McKennie, and Rabiot? And is Sandro going to start taking a bunch more minutes? What do we think? Or is it just because we're in the lead up to that Napoli game?
Oh, no. I think McKennie is going back to the right flank the second he has another midfielder available. And just because he's Max, there is no logical reason to it beyond my understanding, but I'm willing to put money he'll do that.
Me too.
And Miretti will probably take his spot, or it's just McKennie and Wea, whenever they play together, then McKennie will be in the center or on the flank. Sandro, I mean,
Sandro's coming back.
We haven't extended the talk about man of the match, but it's obviously Rabiot. I will give a shout out to Bremer, who's always top 2-3. Kostic actually did phenomenal defensive work, in my opinion, in this match. Yeah, attacking wise, not so much, but defensively, he has improved a lot from last season.
Yeah.
Maybe that helped, overshadow Alexandro's performance.
Yeah.
It was just meh. It wasn't anything special. But that's about it. I think Sandro will stay there for some reason. Like De Sciglio, he's one of Max's boys. He likes them, and they're probably yes-mens, so he likes playing them.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think? Comfort zone for lineup, though? Let's go. Sandro. Or just because it's ahead of Napoli?
No,
I think he's actually going to get more minutes.
100%.
He was good yesterday, I will say. He wasn't a problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
he needs that automatic renewal.
He hasn't been a problem, right?
He hasn't been a problem,
but
he's not the solution.
Still.
Against Monza.
It's Monza,
No,
exactly. Like,
he has been a problem. He wasn't a problem yesterday.
but
Is
that's
what
the
I'm
Yes, it
saying.
point.
wasn't a problem
It's
yesterday.
until we play Napoli and he slips in the last minute and they
There is
score the winner.
absolutely zero possibilities that I play Sandro against Napoli. Okay, I don't care if Chiesa has to take up that position. Sandro would not be playing for me. Like, okay, that's a little exaggerated, but like he cannot start against Napoli. Rugani's there, Danilo's coming back.
Yeah.
Like, there's absolutely no way we should start Sandro against, because there was a couple times Colpani easily had him beat for steps. His touch let him down on the dribble. Sandro managed to recover, but man, I would not feel comfortable against Napoli. Absolutely
Who do we
not.
have in defense? Who do we have in
It's
defense then for that game? I'm just curious as to what everyone's thinking.
everyone's back. So
Dani-
what
Nilo, Rugani,
Danilo got a
Hoyson.
few
I
minutes
mean,
here yesterday, which is the right call to get him a few minutes coming back from injury, but I'm still not starting him in that game. For me, I'm going Rugani, Bremer, Gatti.
I agree.
That's
But
what I would do.
Max shit, I don't know if Max does it. He
And
started Sandro
there is a
yesterday.
lot of fans that feel the same way as Tony Trim here, with Gatti, Bremer, Danilo, and sitting Rugani, and others are actually choosing Danilo to enter for Gatti.
No,
But I'm going to tell you,
no,
I've seen that.
yeah, so
no.
they're trying to find a way to get Danilo in there. And to be honest, I get it. And I think his ball movement could be used at the back. But right now, I just don't feel comfortable. And I probably just wait a little bit longer. And that's another thing why I didn't understand getting him those minutes and bringing him back, but putting him in the Regista spot to get those minutes. It's like, man, those are not the reps at the spot. I want you getting those reps. So that adds to me not wanting him back immediately in that Napoli game. So for me, I would probably look at starting him in the follow-up to Napoli against Genoa, to be honest. And that's where I'd look to start Danilo.
Yep.
Agree,
I agree.
disagree?
That's fair. No,
That's-
I honestly that's fair. I was talking about that was a big question in the group chat for the Empire State. So join your local club. But that was the big debate. It was like people were worried about Gatti versus like some of the matchups, like Gatti versus Cavara, what like would he get burned, stuff like that. So that was one of the main things that we were talking about in that group chat. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to hear all those takes.
Well, if we look ahead to Napoli, they play a 4-3-3. If Cavada's going to be there, I'm expecting the double team with Cambiaso most likely and Gatti, which is fine. And we can push. We can push on the other side through most likely Kostic, okay? But yeah, I don't know. And then there's the shouts for just go 4 back now that he's back, and you got your 2 center backs, and then you got your outsides. I'm not ready for this team in a 4 back. Are any of you ready for this team in a 4 back?
Not against Napoli.
No, I don't think that
Yes,
we
but not
really
against
have the
Napoli.
personnel for that.
I'm with Omar. I think yes, but not this game. Like you don't switch it before a big game like that.
no, this is not the time to try new things against
The week after,
must-win
sure.
game.
I don't like
Yeah.
our midfield for a 4-3-3, to be honest, but
No.
that's a whole
don't
different that's a whole different discussion. But
Let's
Yeah.
solve the defense before we move to the
Yeah.
midfield.
Caviglia. So mixed reviews on his performance yesterday. Let's talk about Hans Nicolucci Caviglia and what you guys thought of his game. Let's start with Luca on this one.
I will not accept the absolute shit remarks that I'm hearing on the kid. This is his second game. This is his second start. I didn't get to mention anything on the post Inter because I wasn't there for the podcast. But this kid just got thrown into the mixer, similar to Fagioli last year, and he's kept his composure. He has not, let's say, fumbled anything that's cost us. Sure, he's not been perfect. He made a little slip up here and there, maybe fumbled the ball and an interception, fine. But he hasn't, for someone who just got thrown in, he was absolutely calm, composed, and did what was demanded of him by our coach. Now, people are going to say, oh, he wasn't good enough. I didn't see him all game. People say the same thing about Locatelli. That's because of the position that Max asked them to play. He's not Locatelli, so you can't compare. And anytime we have Locatelli missing, you always hear the same complaints because Locatelli does something so sublime and so special that, you know what, it's hard to even compare. Now, yesterday, I think I mean, fitness wise, I don't understand why he's not getting 60 minutes in. I don't understand how he's not game fit for 90 minutes. That's a whole other separate conversation. But the kid did perfectly fine. He dished some beautiful balls, and that cross to Rabiot is set on a silver platter. So you know what? I don't want to hear any negativity. The kid did his job. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys,
I'm
I'm
on the
going to
same
let
page.
Omer and Joe go on Caviglia before I get into it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I think he was fine. Wasn't overly flashy, but he got an assist. He had some nice passes. He was always in position. Never got, dribbled past or anything. I think he did his job perfectly well, especially for someone who's playing his second game of the season. He's a young dude. He made the jump from Salernitana to Juve. That's a big jump. And I mean, we gotta have patience with these guys. We can't condemn them after every performance that they're not performing to the level we. He's not Lucatelli. Yeah, of course he's not Lucatelli. Not yet. He might be one day, but overall, I think he had a great performance. Not man of the match performance, but he did his job quietly, and I'm happy with him.
Yeah. Joe?
I
Same
mean,
sentiments?
same sort of sentiment. He got an assist. He looked good. Second game, so small sample size. But over those two games, not too shabby. You know what I mean? Like good. Like, and he's a young kid. Don't crucify him for anything yet. Like still small sample size. The thing that I was seeing the most online was like, does he supplant Locatelli in terms of the lineup? I still think no, but he he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. Just keep giving him reps, keep giving him minutes. We'll see what ends up happening with him. But
Yeah.
still, over the last two games, good. No complaints.
Yeah. And it's something I've been saying for a while, and not knocking the young guys, but kind of to the same sentiments here of fans think that these kids will do wonders, but they are far from being a complete player. I've been saying that, Miretti I'd like to see on a loan. I've been saying that Fagioli, while having a good season, a good showing last season, for me still has a lot to improve in his game, especially if we're talking about positioning and stuff. And it's not knocks on these guys, but when I'm asking for help in the midfield come January, okay, with a certain type of characteristics that we simply don't have, that's not a knock to any of our guys. It's just literally that, for me, the young guys need to be integrated and grown. And I was hit with this remark in terms of my feelings, saying that if we bring in better quality guys, that stunts the growth of the young players. I completely disagree. Completely disagree. And I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't matter if these young guys are starting or if they're getting minutes as substitutes. The minutes are what counts. What we can't have happen is if they simply just don't get any minutes at all, which you run the risk during a season where you're not playing in Europe, okay? But to say that just bringing in raising the quality at Juventus won't help them, I don't think that's true whatsoever. If anything, it should help them, because you have this situation happening right now at Juve where we want so much from these guys and we're looking at them to be saviors, which is wrong. It needs to be up to the top money guys, the higher quality guys, to pull that weight. And when they're not doing it, we can't be looking at a Miretti. We can't be looking at a Fagioli. We can't be looking at a Hans Nicolosi Caviglia and expecting them to just smash the walls. If it happens, that's a luxury. That's incredible. And kudos to the player. But to expect it for me is wrong. So I do not think it's going to stunt the growth. And even if we want to look back to one of the midfields everybody loves to talk about, when you have Vidal, Pirlo, Marquisio, Pogba. Pogba was a young nobody that was a reject that came to us. But what allowed him to play his game and excel was the quality around him. And those guys pulled the weight, and he had the freedom to kind of have that ease. Quality, bringing in quality will not stunt the growth of these guys. It doesn't matter if they start or if they go in rotation. But if they sit completely, yeah, that'll hurt them. But that's a separate discussion. But do you guys kind of agree with where I'm going here on this?
Yeah, 100%. And I even want to say that I'm envious of some teams that do have the luxury and the patience with this type of players. When I look at Real Madrid, I mean, they buy players for 3, 4 years into the future. They're not buying them to be stars now, and they don't care about the media backlash and everyone criticizing them. They give them the chance and the time to grow, and eventually you get your Vinicius and your Rodrigos and Valverdes because they didn't care about anything and they let them play. And that's something Juve has to have. We can never know what would have happened with Kulusevski, for example, because we knew he wouldn't get the minutes. If he didn't deliver, he'd be shipped out or benched. So yeah, and it's not like Barcelona, whose their main thing is playing youngsters from their academy. It's the patience with players who have a high ceiling, but it takes time to reach that ceiling. And are we angry that Miretti, Fagioli, or Nicolosi are not Bellingham? Yeah, those are the type of players who excel immediately at the age of 20. Sorry, they're not these guys. They need time to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Anything to add, Luca? Joe?
I hope we see more of the kid. That's all I'm really hoping for. And people are going to crucify me for that because they think, yeah, Locatelli, and I agree, Locatelli is still the superior midfielder in that position. But that said, seeing how he's been composed, and I think we still haven't seen the best of him because moving him more forward might actually allow us to see the best of him. I think he's earned a few more minutes. I think, we played Genoa and we're up by 1 or 2. I think Rabiot could use a little rest. Like that's probably my only gripe and demand now is that Max finds a way to integrate him more and rest some guys. Like I have no problem with Locatelli playing 70 minutes, 75 minutes, give him the rest. Like Moretti's still not fit. I'm fine with the invert of bringing Cambiaso in and pushing McKennie out. That's working fine for now. But, as time goes on and maybe Cambiaso switches sides, we don't know where and who and why we're gonna play in that midfield. So you know what? I just hope, and I think he's deserved extra minutes, and that's all I really hope for right now.
I want to say this with Caviglia yesterday. What I wanted to see, this is not a knock on him, I think it's just circumstances, but I wanted to see him more comfortable to take the reins on the ball because he was so quick to find that outlet and whatnot that I think he was kind of hindering himself. And I don't know if that's just because they want him to just ease in and not put too much on him and say, hey, just find the quick option, distribute whatnot. But I think he's capable of much more. I think he's capable of much more.
I will add, I was worried when we sold Rovella that we were all worried that there is no substitute for Loca in that position. Mm-hmm. I'm far less worried now, and seeing how Rovella is doing this season, I'm okay with the choice they made.
Well, this is the perfect segue into what I want to get to, which is it's Jeff with an X says, Nicolosi should be the one playing there so Locatelli can go Mezzala. Guys, we got to get into this because this comes up a lot. And I said, when I saw him play that way against Inter, and I know he kept it very, very safe, and he played it very, very, quick distribution game and just simple, very, very simple. But I think it's fair to say he has presented Max with the option to try to use Locatelli in one of those Mezzala roles. I personally have always seen Locatelli as a two-man pivot midfielder. It's not to say he can't play as a Mezzala. Obviously, he has and he can. But is it going to be game-breaking for Juventus? I think it's worth a shot because if we're talking about 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s, this to me seems a much more logical and a much more realistic and simple tweak that might help us a lot because we need help in the midfield of supporting the attack, supporting the flanks. Miretti is unreal at finding the space, finding the pockets of space and everything. But I think we can all agree that end product is what brings that rating down. But Locatelli, it's worth a shot, in my opinion. It's worth a shot. Guys, what do you think about trying this?
Well, obviously not against Napoli, but I don't mind trying it.
I think
We
the
have
toughest
Genoa
test has
next.
already been faced with Inter, to be honest. If Hans did it against Inter, I would honestly not
Yeah,
fear
but
doing it
It's
against Napoli.
it's
but that
Luca's
match
fitness.
would either be keeping up with Inter or keeping the top spot ahead of Inter. So I wouldn't go trying anything that hasn't been tried yet. So far this season, what we're doing is providing results and is working. So not against Napoli. With a well
Yeah.
drilled midfield that's been working together for some time, I wouldn't try new things. But going forward, yeah, definitely. More options the better.
Well-drilled midfield better than Inter's midfield?
Might
I
be.
would say no. And they're less
But then
convincing than Inter is this season.
under Spalletti, yes. Now that they have the managerial change, it might be different. But
Well, this
nevertheless,
is what I'm
and
saying. The fear
Luisa,
for me was
Lobotka,
Inter.
and Zelinski.
The fear for me was Inter.
But we
I
didn't
think
try
we've
that
gotten
against
past
Inter.
that.
Yeah,
I
but we
think it's
didn't try that
PTSD
against
from that
Inter.
last Napoli, from the Napoli beatdown. I think that's kind of weighing on everybody's mind, and we should probably talk about that too. But I'm not really
Oh, we will
that concerned.
next week. I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
try it.
I wouldn't start it. Don't forget, Luca's
Yeah.
not fit yet. He still had pain yesterday. That was reported by Max. So for me, it's a question of, do we throw him into the fire just to try to beat Napoli when, we have a mid three that could work just fine without
If
extending Luca's injury? Like,
Look, if I knew Locatelli is a different player when he plays Mezzala, then I might have said yes. But
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen him play Mezzala enough to be
Mhm.
convenient with him starting that match and just putting Caviglia at the number 6 role.
That said, I agree with Al. I still think that one of them, maybe more so Locatelli, but I think there's a possibility for them to rotate in that, like, if one steps up, the other one can definitely play the other role. I don't think one should be locked down, but the fact that they're both able, it opens up a lot. And to me, it opens up a lot of opportunities. And I was never worried when Ravella left, for the record.
Because
I
we
knew.
got to think about this. If we're saying that Locatelli's not 100%, that means that Hans Caviglia is going to be playing anyways. Okay, so
I expect it.
so he's going to
If we
play
have to play
anyways.
him, then we have to play him. That's a
Yeah.
different
Okay,
story.
but
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
listen to this. If Caviglia is
Okay.
going to play anyways, is Locatelli not a step up from having McKennie as your one Mezzala?
It's
Probably
again,
yes. I can't say with
Probably.
100% guarantee.
I would say yeah.
Because
I would say
McKennie
yeah.
would stay as your right wing back, where in my opinion he's been way more effective, and I would
Oh, yeah.
trust him
Been.
to help shut down Cavara more than I
Yes.
would Cambiasso
Yes.
and Gatti. To be 100% honest,
yes.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Yeah.
But-
and this is my worry, and I don't know why Lou brought this up yesterday. Apparently, Nicolucci doesn't have 90 minutes in him, which is shocking to me. But I mean,
No, he
No, it
definitely.
isn't.
I
He's
don't
got
know. That's
90,
a
come
Max
on.
thing. He has
That's what I
90. He's
think,
23.
but it's
He has
twice
you guys
now
are
90.
that-
full of
Oh.
piss and vinegar, man. It's not like me out there. Come on, these guys, you young bucks like you guys.
Yeah.
Let's go. 90 minutes,
that's what you
whatever.
expect, right? It's like that's my thought.
Listen,
No, but that's downplaying Locatelli's contribution in the number 6 role. I mean, he does phenomenal work, and we've praised
Yeah.
him multiple
No
times. I
one's-
don't think
yeah.
Caviglia can 100% step in, and we wouldn't feel any difference. And if we got pressed by Monza, then we're going to be double pressed by Napoli, and I want my best defensive midfielder out there.
Which is Luca.
Yeah. Yeah.
But going
That is-
forward, no issues. I
agree.
would gladly try
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Interesting, you guys. Well,
I
we
would
got to
try it.
get into this. We are close to Storm the Barn session. Everybody get the likes up, okay? Subscribe, obviously, if you haven't already. And if you're tuning in on audio outlets, what the hell are you waiting for to get over to YouTube, okay? And subscribe. Let's go. Now, obviously, Inter, Napoli, big game at the Maradona. First of all, we are top spot. We're top spot by 1 point. Now, do we end up, after that game, being tied for top spot? Will we be in second spot? Or will we remain in top spot? What do you think before we get into us and Napoli? Luca.
Uh, I think they draw. Honestly,
All
I
right.
think
I,
both teams just came out of like a very, I'm not gonna say positive week in the Champions League. Obviously, Inter have the upper hand with that comeback, but I think Napoli are in fair form. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Interesting. Omar, where will we be? So Luca says we're going to be tied for top spot.
I'm putting my money on Napoli in this match. Don't know why, just a general feeling. I have no indication or any real reason to believe that. But I'm putting my money on Napoli. But Inter could definitely win it.
Yeah.
I think we'll be at the top at the end of this round of games.
So he says we remain. Remain. So we have one level, one remaining. Joey Cappuccino, what do you think?
I think Napoli can take it to Inter. I think Napoli can do it.
What's
I
very
think that
important is
will be up
Osimhen
there.
playing or not.
Yeah.
That's the major question.
He's fit to
Hmm.
start, but does
I
He's
he?
think
fit
they're
to
okay
start.
either way. Now, Inter Napoli draw from Tony Trim, remain from LJJ. I'm going to say this. I'm going to stick with my prediction off the Calcio review. And for everybody who's looking for just Serie A coverage, I'm running that now. I would appreciate some subs. Check it out. I'm sticking with that one, and I called Napoli to win a 2-1 game. And I'm going to stick with that, and I think they will do it. I know that the loss to Real Madrid can be looked at a certain way, but I actually think they can hold their heads up high, even in
Mhm.
that defeat, based on
I
how
agree.
they played at the Bernabeu, and that they had chances. It could have gone the other way. At least remain tight because it did. They pulled away, after. But I think there's a lot to be said even in that defeat. This team can still strike fear in opponents when it comes to scoring goals, and
Mhm.
they don't lose that. And when you play Inter, they're gonna have opportunities to hurt Inter. And as
Mhm.
far as I know, even with the back line, it's gonna be for Inter. Napoli can exploit that. I think so. It's gonna be very, very interesting game, and I think it's going to be tight. But at the Maradona, new coach, which I think is going to give them that freedom to go back to what they were trying to do with Spalletti, not try to change so much, not try to be this big guy immediately from the get-go. Like Rudy Garcia just seemed like he tried to come in here rah, 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 and the guy's a shit show. It was a shit show, but to be honest, it was a lot of execution from their players. This team can bag goals with the best of them on their day. I think it's going to be a hell of a match to watch. I think we remain in top spot. Now, Storm the Barn, get your questions in. My last one is with this Napoli one coming up, what kind of game? Just what kind of game? We don't need to get too in depth, obviously, right now, but what kind of game do you think it's going to be? Do you think, and this is why I always say, I don't agree with our style, but I understand it and why Max would do it because I don't like our side getting into an offensive shootout with anyone. Okay? I don't like it. I don't think we would keep up. So
But
I understand playing in this manner, but I do not like being so comfortable on one goal. But I do understand the methodical approach, not sending crazy numbers and not like going nuts to try and get 30 chances a game and whatnot. I understand that with this team, not leaving yourself wide open, but I just don't like how comfortable we are on one goal leads. But I think it's, you know, the PTSD of what Napoli did to us in one of those showings last year. I think it's a blackout. And I think what we said a lot earlier, and Luca hit the nail on the head here with the mentality of this team, is completely different. I think everybody's bought in, at least to what they're trying to do, which is one of the main things. But we're grinding and we're fighting through. And I think this team's got just a lot more, you know, guts and balls to them than they did last season. They seem very fragile to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we could say that moment yesterday, last season, simply ends in a very mush 1-1, and we're all left fucking crumbling, pissed at the team and whatever. But they fought through, they showed heart, and they got after it, and they found something in 2 minutes. I don't think that could be understated, and I think everybody's bought into what they're trying to do. We hear the talk about titles, okay? Scudetto. Gatti said they had the discussion in the locker room about Scudetto. I've been saying it. Don't worry about what Max says. Let Max be Max. This team is going after it, okay? They're going after it. And if this is the way they believe they have to get after it, I'm with it. And right now, hey, it is what it is. Don't sit on 1-goal leads, though, okay? But I think it's going to be a tight game with Napoli. I think the one thing we could fall back on is we're going to be tough for teams to crack. Inter is the top leading team for goals, and we proved tough for them to crack. In the end, it was just a mistake on our end. But guys, do you think it's going to be tight? Do you have this fear that it could get away from Juventus? Omer.
That what could get away from Juventus?
The game.
Title?
The game.
The
Do you
Napoli
think the game against Napoli can get away from Juve and maybe turn ugly like one of those fixtures last season?
I don't think it will be as bad as last season, even if we lose the match. That was a complete crumble. But there are two things here. One, the defense is far better than last season. I mean, even yesterday with all of Monza's possession, I can barely remember any shot from inside the area. Everyone was well positioned. Everyone was covering well for each other. We were monsters in the air. We didn't allow anything, and just a misunderstanding between the players. So the defense has improved massively from last season. Just the understanding between them, and even the feeling in the locker room. You know, behind the scenes, when you hear about Rugani throwing his gloves at the ground, getting angry, yelling, "This is not how you win a championship." Max going to Landucci and telling him, "I'll punch you in the face" or something. I have no idea what he means, but there is some different vibe when we have players in the locker room right now that wants to be here. The leaders, the big guys, they said it in interviews and they play like that on the field. Danilo, it's Vlahovic, it's Chiesa, even Sandro, it's Rabiot. Those guys are not Bonucci, are not Di Maria or Paredes, who are here to collect paychecks. And when things go sour, they are the first one to put their head in the ground and not be held accountable. And that's gone. That's out the window now. And you can literally feel it in the team. And that I believe will help us win against Napoli next week and maintain that first spot. And also, I love to see it. It's even Rabiot playing the classy way and not, celebrating in the face of Gagliardini.
This game literally turned everyone into psychos by the end, okay? We found out that Landucci's in an abusive relationship with Max. We had Rugani throwing his gloves down, one of the most calm, tame guys I've probably ever seen. It's crazy. It's crazy, but they're getting after it. They want it. They believe in it. It's
different.
Close. But
something's different.
What's that?
Do you feel that too? That something is different mentally?
Absolutely. We've been saying it for a while that the dynamic around the team feels way different than it did last year. It's not that they're just saying things and that they're empty. You actually feel it behind it, but you see it. Something has changed, or someone has changed in the locker room that has brought them together. I have zero doubts about that, okay? Not just someone, but maybe there was a couple, okay? But I believe in it. And I don't think this Napoli game's going to get away from Juventus whatsoever. We're going to be tough to crack. It's going to be a tight game. Luca,
And
do you have fears
they do
that
have a must-win game in the Champions League right
I
after
think I know
us.
what answer I'm going to
They
get
do.
from Luca because the famous quote, I fear Monza, that we had to make public yesterday. That's what started it all with the Monza fan. But Luca, so dramatic as always. I love those prediction vids that we go. You guys got to check them out when we do them. It's just class. Sometimes we rib each other. But Luca, thoughts on Napoli? Do you think it's going to get away from Juve? Think we're going to be tight?
It's a different beast from Monza. I mean, I look at Napoli and I think similar to the Inter game. I'm like, in my mind, the players looked at Inter and saw a squad that's fighting to win this league. They're looking at one of the best teams, best Inter sides in a few years. So they knew, and you heard it in Rabiot's post match. They knew this was going to be a tough game, and to come out of that with I guess some sort of positives. I mean, I still think we could have won that game, but the fact that we didn't, like crumble, that says a lot about this team. And I think going to Napoli, their fear was the only fear is, can we do what we did against Inter, but not, concede and keep it tight at the back. So I don't worry as much because obviously with Monza we knew we were going to sit back and we knew it would be something silly. With Napoli, I think the mindset will be different. I think going into it will be a little bit sharper, knowing that we played Inter and knowing what happened at Monza. I have more faith. I still think it's gonna be a tight game, and I still think it might be, 20 minutes of just parking the bus. But you know what? If that's what it takes to get the 3 points, like you said, I don't love
Yeah.
this mentality and this strategy, but I understand it against a team like Napoli. We're not going to outscore them. It's not going to be a shootout in who scores
Yeah.
the most goals.
Yeah.
But they do have a worse defense than Inter has this
They
That
have a
season.
worse
that's
defense.
true.
They're leaking a
Yes,
bunch
they
of
do.
goals. And the other thing is, it's in our house, baby. It's in our house. And I like that much, much better than, the feelings away from home and whatnot. But I would still feel okay, like it won't get away from us. Joe, quickly, before we get to Storm the Barn, your thoughts?
It's going to be a tight game. Like everybody said, I don't necessarily like the style that we're going to be playing. I just don't want us to get complacent and lose that concentration and have it turn into like once they get one opportunity, then the floodgates open. That's what I don't want to see happen. So
Yeah.
if we need to, be on the edge of our seats for the entire game with them raining down shots and we had that one opportunity, I will take it. I will
Yeah.
take that. I think that's probably how it's going to be.
And the thing is that Juve with when it's level, okay, and the games kick off, we're right in there. We're right in there with the best of them. We're playing. We're pressing for the ball. We're trying to get the ball back. We're defending sometimes in numbers still, but we get the ball and we are pushing forward. We are trying to get that goal and whatnot. For me, it's just like keep with that until it's a second goal, or just keep with that even if you're trying to close out a game. It's just we're way too comfortable with one goal for my liking. That's all. But we're fully capable when these games kick off. We get after it. We go after these goals. We've scored quite a few at the start of games. A couple of other things to keep in mind is that the numbers are still strong in terms of big chance. Yesterday's another one. 3 big chances created, 3 big chances missed. We have the most big chances missed in the league. Okay, and shots inside the area drastically improved from last season. As how many opportunities we get inside the area. Like, there are some numbers there that when this team applies itself and plays and the games are level, we're generating. We are in fact generating. It may not look pretty, but we're getting the chances. Storm the Barn, do we extend Rabiot? I have to say at the beginning of the season, I said no chance and let him walk after last season. And now this season so far, I am open to a 1-year extension. Thoughts? Who wants to start us off on Rabiot?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Um, s- Probably same answer as last year, since we're not getting any money anyway, and replacing him with someone better or who's an upgrade. would be difficult or expensive, I have no issues with extending him. If he keeps playing the way he does now and the way he did yesterday, then I'm all good. No need for anyone else, to replace him. Strengthening the midfield is a different story, but Rabiot is not the one that should be replaced in this midfield right now.
Yeah. Joe?
But salary questions and stuff, I mean, that's always there.
Yeah, the like Omer just said, the salary questions. I mean, I think he's earned it. I think he's earned an extension. I see no problem with that whatsoever. Oh, and just an aside, Tony Trim, if the game for Napoli wasn't on Friday, I would be there at Legends, but I will not be there. So sorry about that. But yeah.
Yeah, let's keep this to the DM, boys. Just kidding. Just kidding. Luca.
For me, the big deciding factor is Max. There's finances to discuss here, yes, because Rabiot is not cheap. And obviously, as Omer said, replacing him will not be easy. So I got faith in Gintoli on that aspect. But if Max isn't around, I think the discussion needs to be had of just selling Rabiot and trying to make some sort of money off him, or if we can make any money because he's on a 1 year. But anyways, I think the best we've seen of Rabiot is with Max, and Max gets the best out of him because that's his kind of player in this formation. Lose that, and I think it's not worth keeping him. That's my thought.
I think it's exactly the type of player Conte would like.
I don't want Conte.
My thoughts on
Omer's right, though.
Rabiot
Yeah,
here. Wait, this is not like I'm not answering this question right now. That's kind of how I feel. Like I can't. I'm kind of done with making certain decisions on positions or players that are kind of on the fence. Because if we're asking about it, it means that there could be some room for doubt, right? I want to know what our option outside of Rabiot is. Like, what's the alternative, right? Because if all of a sudden it's like a technically gifted midfielder that's very offensive minded, well, maybe I'm down with bringing up the technical quality in our midfield. However, who else is staying? Because there is a position, there is a spot for a guy like Rabiot that plays the role that he does. But there isn't a spot for more than that. So then we start looking at, are we keeping McKennie as a right wing back, or are we keeping him as a midfielder? Because that's what I start to look at. If we're keeping him as a midfielder, it's nothing against the guy, but you're behind to Rabiot always for me. Okay? I will prefer Rabiot over McKennie for that role. If we bring in a technically offensive minded gifted midfielder, that spot, that 8 is on lockdown. Okay? Then you have your defensive midfielder. Locatelli's got that locked down. Caviglia can provide cover here and there. Miretti, I believe, needs a loan. Fagioli comes back. He is that follow-up to this talented guy, and he can be battling for a starting position there, right? If you move McKennie or whatnot, if we find some other answers, yeah, then I'm okay, and I'm definitely open to keeping Rabiot. But it really depends on everything else and what the options are and what we're looking to do. But at 1 year extension, yeah, I have no problems. I probably will have no problems by season's end. But all I know is yesterday was like miles ahead of what we've gotten a lot this season. Okay, agreed. I know that there were some fans saying since he's been wearing the armband, they've noticed this. I haven't really felt that. Okay, no. But yesterday, that's the Adrien Rabiot we need, because we need influence from the midfield. Big time. So Big time. I'm open to it. We got 2 coming in. Archaeology. Why does Vlahovic always get a pass from Juve fan? I don't know if he was getting any passes yesterday. Oh,
no, not really.
Yeesh. If that's a pass, I'll take the heat gladly. Okay, because he's been getting ripped for quite some time. I don't think he gets a pass personally. To be honest, I don't necessarily feel that way, but I think it's trying to keep all things level. While everybody that watches the show, you all know where I stand with Vlahovic. I've been saying, while I agree that opportunities may not be as plentiful as he needs to kind of get in rhythm, get going and whatnot, he still has, 5, 6 big chances missed to his name. PKs, 3 misses out of the last 5. Like, always questioning the mentality. You know what I mean? And for me, on that money, you got to be the guy. And all the rest becomes excuses. It really does. And while I can agree, sure, playing style, some of this and that, whatever, it's really all noise. Because if you're making that kind of money, you need to suck it up and you need to get the job done no matter what system you're playing in, what role, whatever. It just you got to get it going. You just can't sit around, sulk and piss and moan, whatever. So for me, I've actually not really been giving him a pass and saying what he brought against Inter, he needs to do so consistently. Do you guys feel that he did that yesterday? Because for me, I think there was a definite drop off from the Inter game, from him personally, individually. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, there's been a drop off. I think a lot of it has to do with the rain, which made it a lot harder to, keep the ball. It's harder to play. We suffered that against Bologna, and we could barely manage 2 passes. The team wasn't ready to play that way. But I will answer the question: why is he getting a pass? For me, there are 3 reasons. One, I want to see him again, under a different manager. Two, um, when you have 40% possession or less, I mean, and what he does for most of the game statistically is rather defend than actually be on the ball and trying to play, then I can't completely blame him, although he can do better. And the third reason is he's a young striker. Those type of guys, those type of players peak at 27, 28. And if we lose him now, I believe we regret it when he becomes 27 and plays for a different club. Then we'll say, oh, we should have kept him. That's my belief. I might be wrong, but those are the reasons why I sort of give him a pass. But I
Hmm.
do criticize him a lot.
Hmm. Joe? Luca?
No, the Omer said it really, really well. I mean, when you defend for most of a game, it's kind of hard to do what your position requires of you, and that's to, attack. But I wouldn't I wouldn't say that he's really getting a pass. It's like there's no there's no one answer. Like, yeah, he's missed big chances. That needs to be said. He hasn't been focused as we all would like. Yes, there was a drop off versus Inter too. I mean, the guy celebrated like 3 separate different ways versus Inter because that's how starved he is in this system. It's complicated. It's a complicated thing that I don't think that we'll ever fully understand because we're not the ones in training. We just see what happens on the field. But I don't think that he's really getting a pass.
Hmm. Luca?
I see what everyone's saying in the sense that none of us really gave him a pass. So, like a lot of us in our team just dump on him, and we see it on the feed too. But I think the value to this question is, some people do give him a pass, and I think the reasoning is pretty simple. And Omar nailed a few of them. My thought is just the amount of service he gets. Like he doesn't get much, so we kind of feel bad for him when he misses just the one. And then there's the idea that he's young, and he's still coming up, and he's still got so much on his shoulders. So I think that's why he gets a pass. But I don't necessarily see him getting a pass from many people. I think it's maybe a 1% that's letting it slide, and
I'm good.
9 other percent is shitting on him. So
I'm going to go with a little bit of a kind of example. And I'm going to use Sule as this example. Because Sule, while with Juventus, we could all agree needed to go. He needed to go get minutes and play. So he didn't have confidence. He could barely hit target with a shot with any kind of steam on it. And it's like, man, like he needed to pick it up. That was clear. It's different when you're playing at a Fiorentina. It's different when you're playing at a Frosinone. It's different. You know why? Everything that we always talk about. Amici di nessuno. Teams, players, goalkeepers that are nobodies raise their level every time Juve is in town or they go to play Juventus. It is like their trophy to defeat Juventus. It doesn't matter about the names Vlahovic faces in the league with Fiorentina and whatnot. It is a different beast when you face them with Juventus. The pressure is on. The teams play you differently. That space isn't there. They approach those teams with less fear. But it's just different. It's not the same. And that's why I say, like, I think back to guys that played for Juventus up top, and nobody was bitching about how many opportunities. Some games you play, you only get one. And you got to make the most of it. And you got to shake it off. You can't piss and moan that, I used to get 4 shots with Fiorentina. That's because it was a wide open game because nobody gave a shit. They weren't.
Well,
There was
to be
no
fair,
fear. There was
he's
not
not
this
the one.
trophy matchup to play against Fiorentina.
But to be fair, he's not the one saying it. We're the ones saying it. He's not
I will say.
complaining about
I
the
will
number
say
of
this
chances.
also. I think it's a little bit of a disillusion to say he's not getting as many chances because it's not as drastic a gap as people make it out to be. For the minutes played versus in comparison, he's actually not far off in opportunities. It's not
It's
that.
something that's
It's
not
not
something
that drastic a
exclusive
difference.
to Vlahovic. That's not exclusive to Vlahovic. Keane and Milik have to deal with the same issue.
Yeah,
Even Chiesa. So that's not
Mm-hmm.
something to say only Vlahovic doesn't get service. They all have to defend for most of the times they're on the pitch. Fine, that's Allegri. We know that. But he's not complaining. I mean, we are the ones saying he's not getting any service. He hasn't talked
exactly.
about it. He hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's getting a
Yeah,
pass.
am I shocked? Am I shocked that Frosinone's best attacker is not Juve's best attacker? No, it's a different playing field. It's a different game, different standards. And yeah, you're absolutely correct that for winning Juve for those teams is the highlight of their season, winning
Yep.
against Juve, and that's what they aim for, and that's when they bring their A game. But I still think he's relatively young, and we already paid for him. He wants to be here. I want to see him at his peak at Juve, and not be, another Delict.
I would love to see that too. I just, like I said, I think when
Patience.
fans
Patience is
have
the
players, I think when fans have players that they're rooting for so much, that I think we are quicker to come up with reasons for these guys when they're not even making reasons themselves, like Omer kind of highlighted too. It just comes down to you're making the money, you're the big guy, you got to walk the walk. You got to walk the walk, whether it goes good or bad. So we'll see what happens. Would you be happy with second place and winning Coppa Italia with the players that we have?
Generally, yes, but as a Juve fan, I mean, not winning the Scudetto or finishing second behind Inter wouldn't make me happy. But considering everything, that's a good progress from the past 3 seasons.
It's an easy answer for me, and the answer is yes, because my expectations were us to be in the top 2 fighting for the title. If we go through the season, even if we don't get that title, but we fought for it until the end, that is exactly what I wanted and expected out of this team and roster. Coppa Italia, beautiful, beautiful. Any trophy I will gladly accept. That's my feelings, but I absolutely do not want to finish second to those pieces of shit. Luca.
No, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, a trophy is an improvement on last season, and I think that's essentially what we're looking for here right now. If we finish second and didn't win a trophy, completely different situation. But you hit it on the head. If it's one of the two, definitely take the league. But if it's gonna be second place in the league and we still get a trophy somewhere, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Joe?
Personally, I want the Scudetto, but that scenario is totally fine with me. Amen to that. I would take
We,
it.
we all want the Scudetto, of course, and I believe 39 is loading. I believe it's loading. Now we had a couple other ones. So I see that one here. Would you guys be okay with Colpani loan with obligation and Bernardeschi coming in for the winter? So real quick on this one, Luca, are you okay with Colpani loan with obligation and Bernardeschi returning?
I'm not sold on Kopani just yet.
Ooh,
Maybe that's just me. I feel like there's going to be a heavy price tag, and I don't know. I feel we should be looking elsewhere. I wouldn't be against it, but the obligation, like I'm hesitant on the obligation. Maybe if it was just a loan with possibility of redemption,
okay.
I'm fine with that. As for Berna, I've said this about Conte, and I've said this about a lot of old ex players. We got to stop going backwards. So no to Berna, hard no.
For me, Kolpani, loan with obligation, I'm fine with it. I have no problems with it. I prefer Samardzic. Bernardeschi, no, man. He can stay in Toronto and Lucci can help him with his makeup. So, no. Omer,
Um, Considering how Korpani played yesterday, I mean, where he played, then no, we don't need that position. He was playing outright in the attack. We don't need that position. As a midfielder, yeah, why not? But both him and Di Gregorio seems like players who will end up at Inter. I don't know why, but I think both of them will go to Inter. Um, and Berna, that's a hard no, man. He doesn't improve anything in this team.
Literally nothing.
the screenshots for promos and stuff because he styled the makeup game in on point. Joey,
Slim shade.
your thoughts? Kolpani, loan and obligation, and Bernardeschi.
Berna, hard no. Pass. See you later.
No Berna
And
love.
Kopani, I'm with you, Al. I prefer Samardzic, so I feel like we should be going after him, not Kopani.
All right. All right. Now, Juve gets a pen against Napoli. Who steps up to take it?
I already said mine,
Lucia.
so we kind of talked about this before.
It's not
Duchamp for
Duchamp
me.
for me. That's all I say.
Yeah,
Not
I think Danilo. I say Danilo.
Wait a
He's on
second.
the
Is
field.
Meret in net? Because if Meret's in net, actually, I'd probably still with him. But that's the guy to get you confident. He's in shambles right now. So yes, actually,
Yeah.
if Meret's in net, get yourself back on the. No, 3 out of 5. No, it's got to be
Yeah,
somebody
no.
else.
It was
3 out of
so
5 is
Well, you
terrible.
can't
So
have
the
it
next
right
guy
here.
that's best in training should take it.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is because I don't watch the training sessions. I'm going to ask Mirko and Romeo and be like, guys, who's the best at taking PKs when you're there? Like, who are the top guys outside of Duchamp? So I'm going to ask them that because we got to know to make this answer. But honest question, and we know Lucas, no. Would you allow Duchamp to go again? Omar, you're probably going to say yes.
I already said yes.
Yeah. So
I haven't lost faith.
Duchamp,
I believe in him.
there you go. There you go. Joe,
Like, if Meret's in net, I mean, guys in shambles right now. Why not have Dusan take it? That's the thing.
Yep.
But I do like the Danilo idea.
there you go.
Danilo have missed one in the Coppa Italia final in the Sarri season. That was an awful penalty, actually.
That was a
I
terrible
can't
year
see
though. and it was
Chiesa
the first
being
season.
bad
But that's the
at
only thing.
kicks. So, like, I don't know. I got to find out
There's
from
no
Mirko.
chance.
I got to find
No
out
chance
from
any of
Mirko.
them
The
are bad
last
at it.
time I spoke with
Yeah.
Mirko, he gave us the voice note on Hans Nicolucci Caviglia being the best we have technically and ahead of the defense and everything like that in the midfield. And I will say this. I think he can be a lot more than what we've seen. I just don't think he's comfortable yet. But I'm very happy with Caviglia so far. There's a lot to see what happens. Gatti will probably smash that PK frickin' through the net, man, and through the second row of the stadium, man, and he's going to drill that thing. He'd probably, if Meret got in front of it, he'd probably drive him into the net too, so why not? Why not? Guys, we got a big one coming up. Let's wait and see what these toilets do, okay, in their game. Napoli and Inter, all right? And literally hosted in a toilet. Yeah, I'm going to ramp up the talk for the Chihuahuas, okay? Because Napoli, I mean, they were talking dynasty, for Christ's sake. You don't know dynasty. You want to talk about a dynasty? Jesus Christ, that's an insult to the biggest and baddest club in all of Italy that had 9 straight. And you bet your ass I kept all the receipts, okay? Kept all the receipts. We got a big one coming up. We got through a rainy night in Monza. Thank you to Rabiot and Gatti, as they say, fino alla fine. But yeah, I'm going to fire up all the Chihuahuas this week. You guys know where to be. Keep you in the loop on daily news updates and then a preview for the match. But I don't know if I'll be doing a watch along because these Fridays, we got the next 2 more Fridays after this one with Monza, so we'll see what happens. You guys in the live chat, magic as always. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you tell your friends about the AJC, okay? Luca, thank you. Thank you. Omer, always a pleasure, my friend. And Joey Cappuccino, go enjoy some more tea in your Adidas Originals, all right? Lucci, leave Bernardeschi in Toronto. Okay, keep them next to your side. You guys can go clubbing and put that makeup on. All right, brother. Take care. Fino alla fine. Forza Juve. I hope these 2 teams batter each other. Okay, destroy each other, and then let's take care of Napoli. Will we remain in top? We'll see, but we're top for now. Salutate I capoliste, everybody. Fino alla fine. Ciao tutti.
Yeah.